The bodycam footage from that night at the Airbnb has emerged, and does it shed more light on what really happened? Is there more to the story than meets the eye? And what was Zeruiah's previous offences? To answer this and many more questions, allow me to take us back to the beginning. Hello and welcome to Lawd Lukan. It's time to get your coffee and donuts as we get the most revealing update on the Zeruiah and Troy situation yet. On today's show, what did an elected official from New York have to do with it?
Elected official listed New York.
Why did Troy do a disappearing act?
Anybody know where he went? No.
Who actually called 911? Was it a case that Zeruiah was cheating too? The truth is out, so watch to the end because it's a rough old ride. All this and more right here on the Lawd Lukan channel.
Crazy, yo.
Good evening, bonsoir, and banter to you. Big loves to those who've subscribed, you beautiful people, and a cup of ceremonial grade uchi matcha to the lords and ladies of the Lukan Manor. Yes, indeedy, mon petit pois. There's one thing that you can't deny is factual, and that's actual footage from the night in question. So I'm not going to give you a scene-setting intro today, I'm just going to get straight into the video. A big shout out to Bodycam USA for putting out the footage last night. So, in we go.
Just after Christmas on December 27th, 2025.
Oh, isn't it exciting? It's like a proper cop video and everything. And I know, I'll stop talking and show all the stuff, but I do of course need to make sure that my video is transformative, otherwise we'll be at the mercy of the copyright goblins.
Deputies with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office responded to an Airbnb in Lake Worth Beach involving a reality star from Life After Lockup.
She'll be pleased with that bit. Reality star. Yeah, that'll feed her ego. Although they say star singular, not stars. So does that mean that Troy, Dale, whatever, isn't a star? He's just a sidekick? And it doesn't take long to get some answers on the Who Called 911 issue.
The caller reported a domestic situation and advised that a knife was involved.
So the 911 does refer to a weapon. Interesting, which probably tells us that Zeruiah didn't make the call, or she wouldn't have mentioned that part. Hello, I'd like to report that I've got a sharp object that might have also hit my stupid husband with his Nokia 4920. And as Officer Wow arrives, we see Zeruiah sitting outside clutching her leg, presumably from where she was set upon by some marauding furniture. And then Henry, who's put on a couple of pounds there, comes out and joins her. And I think there's something slightly off with Zeruiah. Now, I might be wrong, but having watched these two for a while, I do believe that someone might be under the influence of the old falling down water.
Fire rescue's right here, ma'am. So what am I telling them?
The what?
What am I telling fire rescue?
And the theory that I had in my last video, where I suggested that he couldn't have hit her on the head with the earth, unless they were both on the floor together, well, I may have a little gold star for being on the money with that one.
Yes, my husband's me, and he slammed me on the ground.
Yes, indeed. Whilst it's too early to tell, we already see that Zeruiah's story might be a little bit more correct in that area. But was it self-defense? Did Troy have to take her to the ground in order to stop her from attacking him? Sounds a lot like my story that I told you in this video up here in the corner. So, was she trying to get away from him, and Troy went and told a bunch of porcupines?
I was walking away from him, he slammed me on the ground, then he went in there and told them a whole bunch of lies. My dad me out, I couldn't breathe.
Okay, well, if she was trying to get away from him, did he just manage to get ahead of her and also manage to get his entire side of the story across before she made it the few meters to the main house? Does that make sense to you?
And I have marks on my arm, I have marks I can show you. I don't have to lie, sir. I got marks everywhere.
Blimey, we would have taken your word at this point and, sort of let you show the emergency services sort of privately. But, hey, why not just drop your trousers in full view of the neighbours whilst lit up with a torch?
Where did you get?
Oh, steady on there. You don't want to end up on your face like that woman.
He broke out my window.
Which one?
I can imagine she'd be suing for that too. I can't believe it. I was minding my business when the lawn just got up and slapped me in the face. I mean, first it's the table or the furniture or whatever, and now it's the garden features.
Could not breathe. I screamed. He me harder and harder, and I want to press charges. I'm done.
What's your name?
Zeruiah.
So, at this point, it's not clear who she's saying had their hands on her neck. She clearly wants to press some charges on somebody, but considering she was the one who was arrested that night, I'm guessing that the officers get more conflicting information. And if the plot wasn't thicker than Dale Troy whatever's mental consistency, check out this next little WTF moment.
I was looking for my police commissioner identification that I could not find. I'm an elected official in this state.
What? Now I think he's talking to Henry here, but an elected official? Now that made my little eyebrows do the whole say what dance. Also begs the question, is he reaching for the I'm an upstanding member of the community card to try and make the officers think he's more innocent and should be believed a lot more?
Then she comes screaming, running. She went to the drawer, going to pull out, coming. I'm like, what are you doing?
And couldn't possibly have done whatever she says he did, or is it simply that he's just trying to identify himself? And then we get to see that the police report wasn't totally accurate as far as Henry's story, because he says that Troy has his hands on her neck. But...
And all of a sudden, screaming, and I'm like, what? And I don't use those expletives.
So, I was right about this bit too. Sorry, so I'm not going to do this the whole way through, but as I suggested, she was being spiteful and resentful towards everyone, as, according to this version of events, whilst Henry hadn't actually done anything, and had just woken up by her screaming and shouting, she's determined to get him arrested too. So Zeruiah plans to get everybody in trouble by wielding the police and the sharp object.
I don't know if she was trying to get at her husband, or if she was trying to go towards us, but we're the ones who were blocking her.
Now, I'm not sure who that unknown female was, probably her sister, but it becomes clearer that whatever happened with Troy, she's now on a rampage and wants to make everybody feel her wrath. Now, that aligns more with the behaviour that we've seen before, like when she argued with Troy and then got all mad at the film crew for it. It very much seems that when she's got in a bad position, it's everybody else's fault but her own.
While I'm calling you all are going to jail tonight. I said, please call me. What is she doing for?
Now, I shouldn't laugh, but Zeruiah's dad, Henry, is such a typical parent.
It's so embarrassing.
Oh, I'm so embarrassed. I can't believe you did that to me in public. I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. You know, those times when your parents use your whole name. Zeruiah Marie Jones, I'm so embarrassed. But then we get another corroborating story, where she was the aggressor. Not looking so good so far.
He said he woke up to her punching him, and she woke up and went through his phone. And I guess that's what started.
Now here's the bit that no one seems to deny. Professor Troy had some stuff on his phone which allegedly confirmed he was cheating, possibly with the blue-haired lady that we saw before.
See this girl right here? Troy messed with her now.
What are you doing? And I just said, I'm so tired, sir. I mean, I'm so tired of all of this player.
Now the subtitle said player, but I don't think that's what he said. I think he said, we're all tired of the chaos, which also speaks to the idea that all this chaos isn't new. And that, as we expected, is just the way their toxic relationship works. They're fueled by the extreme emotion of the fights, then there's the highly emotional makeup that follows. I think we all might be thinking that Troy and Zeruiah are clearly toxically trauma bonded. Then we cut back to Zeruiah outside, and she's recounting this story. She's forgotten that her leg hurts now, and is in pure pissed off mode. If that police officer's not careful, he might be accused of doing something too. So we asked her what happens to Troy.
He ran away. He took his daughter and ran away.
Your husband ran away?
Yeah. Because he's a felon, so he's scared.
So there's her disregard for him. Quite telling that she speaks of him like he's scared and a little bit weak, with absolutely no emotion. And that says a lot about how she actually feels. She's clearly not showing any fear now, or that she's annoyed with him, that she thinks very little of him. Not a good look for somebody who's supposed to have the victim hat on. But she also suddenly forgets certain parts of her story when the fire and emergency turn up. Big loves to those, by the way. Those firemen do a fantastic job.
I just got into an argument with my husband. I was walking away. He slammed my head on the pavement.
See, the whole how they got to the floor is gone. She's now saying that he just hit her head with the floor. But as we analysed before, the actual mechanics of that are very dubious. So she gets back to making sure she tells them that Henry is a bad guy too. Typical of this kind of abusive woman, that if the people around her don't defend what she exactly wants them to do, regardless of how moral it is, they get attacked and made to look guilty too.
And I started screaming. My dad comes out and starts screaming at me.
And see how calm she is now? No emotion, just the story. She doesn't break into tears when she tells how her husband did awful things to her. It's all very calculated and composed. Plus, if she did have her head bashed, wouldn't it be in her best interest to have the pictures taken? Wouldn't there be some evidence of it?
Then my sister comes to text me, my mom, they literally all jump on me.
And there's that victim angle again. She was doing nothing at all when 3 people just attacked her for no reason. A bishop, his not-so-young wife, and a sister, who aren't telling their stories in such a balanced manner. I just don't believe that her family, who do anything for her, support a relationship even though they didn't approve, go on a TV show even though Henry clearly doesn't want to, but they do all this for her. Yes, those people. They just jump on her because, she's arguing with Dale Troy, whatever his name is. Oh, there go the trousers again. She does have some nice underwear on though. I suppose it's a good job she didn't have her old granny knickers on, really. So if she got jumped on by 3 people, got her head damaged by the planet, then throttled by Henry, which bit of her body do you think she asked a fireman to look at?
You out at all?
Yeah, my ankle, I don't know how low is my ankle.
Her ankle. Yes, indeed. Not her neck, not the bit she was flashing to everybody before they turned up. Her ankle. So then we move to the mother-in-law's suite, or the granny annex, where we see a rather guilty-looking mum. Why does she look that way? Well, I'm guessing the answer to the next question isn't as truthful as it could be.
Sheriff's office. Do anybody know where he went? No.
Yeah, sure, okay. I think Troy Dalington has done some sort of disappearing act because he's still on parole and is scared of going away again. And Mama here knows that, and looking not at all guilty in the process. But police officer whatever isn't buying it either, and he goes into search mode.
Alright, well, I'm gonna still check because something took place in here and we gotta figure out what happened.
Yeah, go on, Sherlock. I've never been so invested in a game of hide and seek. Rocket scientist Troy is around here somewhere, and I can't wait to see if we watch him get to call himself Dale or not. I think we've now got about 3 officers and a team of firemen on the scene, so somebody should find him.
Singing? I can't find him. You left, according to her.
Now this isn't doing Dale any favours. If he's so innocent, then why does he feel the need to get the fudge out of Rog? Sure, if he's on papers still, any contact with the police is bad contact with the police, but it's making him look worse and worse by the minute. Have you checked behind the curtains? That's where my kids always hide.
Somehow I got pulled out, and then he slammed your head on the pool.
He slammed my head on the pool first.
Ooh, slightly avoided the weapon bit there, because that doesn't feed into a victim narrative. Somehow a sharp thing got pulled out was a pretty nice way of him to put that. But she conveniently just refers back to how she was hurt instead. And we get more proof about what I said about the fact that she'll attack you if you don't act how she wants you to act, and unquestionably defend her actions.
So I'm upset, like, what are you talking about? You literally just hit me. And my dad's not doing anything. He's continuously yelling at me.
See, victim again. Henry's not defending her, he's sticking up for Troy. Therefore, she'll drag a bishop, who is an elected official and has a lot to lose, through the mud and make him sound like he's a bad guy too.
And I'm like trying to get to the front door. My dad grabs me and he literally goes like this and me.
I think there's some sort of semblance of truth to that. I believe that he would have put his arm around her neck, but if she's unable to breathe or turning red like how she said, how is she able to say so much? And is she suggesting that a man in his 70s knows how to apply a rear naked choke? Is he a secret MMA fighter, jiu-jitsuing her butt? Well, I'm not buying it. And here's the part where another eye gets exposed. So, who called the police?
And he call the police, I don't care, nothing's gonna happen to me.
And there it is. It was Henry all along. Her statement that she called the police was false. Surprise, surprise. Like I said before, in these cases, everybody claims to have called 911 because they think it would make them look more innocent.
And Mom was in there too, or no?
I couldn't see anything. I was being choked.
So she went blind too. Crazy how that happens. So she was so sure that her whole family attacked her, but when asked, she didn't see a thing and that she wasn't sure if her mum was doing it too. Which casts a bit of doubt on her previous statement. And so she reduces her earlier claim to the idea that it was just the men.
So really it was you, Mr. Dale, and Mr. Henry.
Yeah.
But then, Troy the Magnificent appears, and it's time to get his side of the story. And this is where it gets very interesting, because it turns out that Troy wasn't the only one who was up to stuff on their phone.
Throughout the day, they didn't have nothing to do with us. But for whatever reason, it pawned on her mind. Well, I wonder what's in his phone.
Oh, so Troy found something on her phone, and in a vindictive, revenge-seeking manner, decided to go look on his phone too. So that tells us even more about who Zeruiah really is. It's fine when she does it, but if he does it, all hell's about to break loose. And also the phone part. He told the family, and it's been written, that he woke up to being hit in the face, but that's not exactly the story he gives the police. Listen carefully, because Troy is about to get his whole story wrong again.
So this guy go to my phone, woke up to my phone in my face, literally. Alright, what's wrong with you? She's storming off, walking off.
Yeah, see, so it was in his face, not repeatedly bouncing off it. I think we all must have known that there was a little bit of lying on both sides, and Troy seems to be confirming the fact that his account to the family wasn't all that accurate. So, according to Troy, they argue outside, the rest of the family wake up, then Zeruiah starts to pack her things and says she's leaving.
She leaves, she comes back again, doing the same thing, turning on the lights, she took a shower, banging, slamming.
What about that terrible injury she's got on her legs? Well, we knew about her banging into things because Henry told the police she wanted to sue the Airbnb for having furniture where she wanted to walk, and here Troy confirms it.
She got injuries because she walked and all the beds have the frame in the front, and she keeps banging her leg on it while she walks.
But Troy puts it all down to some family business, that they're all on holiday, so none of these police need to be here. See, when you're on holiday, no police. That's how it works,
She needs to stop doing it. She should never even call you because of what she did. And you want to tell her, nobody attacked you.
Well, clearly they do. If Zeruiah is about to go all Jason on the family, then maybe a little assistance is what you need. Because Troy's account also states that she didn't call 911 either. And Troy's story is just doing its usual bouncing around between one thing and another. Because apparently nothing happened, except it did, but it sort of didn't, although she may have hit him with the phone, even though he just said that nothing physical happened.
Did anything physical happen back in the room?
No, ain't nothing physical happen. Besides her hitting me with that phone.
And quite luckily, we not only have Henry recounting the fact that she banged her leg on the furniture, and Troy's story backing it up, but Super Genius Dale or Troy or whatever the hell he's calling himself has video footage.
And I got video proof of her even saying that she was on live earlier. Look, y'all see this bruise? Look, I got it from hitting it on the bed.
I do have one question though. The police were calling him Dale before they even spoke to him. So who actually told him his name was Dale? Did they just mishear it and write it down wrong, and then Troy just played into the mistake? That's not all that clear in my mind. Anyway, we then get Troy doing an impression of Zeruiah.
I should sue these people because that bed is just tell her to stop lying. Nobody attacked her.
We then get back to the subject of the weapon. Did she get one? Was she avoiding the subject earlier because she doesn't want to incriminate herself? Well, the officer gets to asking Dale all about it.
So she picked up.
Yeah.
Okay. No.
Now her intentions with it, it was a butter.
A butter knife? What was he planning to do? Spread his balls evenly and thinly over some delightful toast, perhaps a crumpet? The family apparently wanted Troy to go get his brother-in-law to try and calm it all down, because according to them, he's a much bigger guy and would have been able to disarm her much more easily.
That's just what it was. I came back. It was trying to basically disarm her and, calm her down at the same time, her sister and her father.
And then good old Henry confirms that what I've been saying about Zeruiah's attitude towards being defended, how she sees herself as above everyone else, and how, if she's not the center of attention, then everybody is going to pay the price.
Just chaos. She just gets in these chaotic, so that then she becomes the focal point.
But then, suddenly it's go time, as Zeruiah has left the scene and both officers go on the world's shortest chase to get her before she leaves. And because she does, and the police have heard enough, they've decided to put those little iron bracelets on. And of course, she thinks they should have done that to Troy and her dad, not her.
It's not running, it's literally my son is in the back by himself.
No, he's not.
And with all this going on, the officers decide to make sure she knows she's detained and pop her in the little police cruiser so they can get some more dubious information from Troy and co.
Right now you're not under arrest, you're just being detained.
But because there's quite a bit of confusion about the story still, the police want to talk to Zeruiah's son, who was allegedly in the room at the time. But according to the family, they say it was just the baby in the room. And all this confusion isn't doing them any favors.
He was where was it? He was over there.
Okay.
The baby.
The baby? Okay.
See? This all makes it a very strange one. And I can see why the officers are confused too. No one seems to have the same story about who was where and when, which will definitely end up being an issue for the courts. But Dale Troy Dalington tries to plead with the police so they won't punish her too hard, if at all.
Just give her a break. She knows she's wrong. I hope this should be enough. Just her being in the car should be enough. She can't go to jail.
The police make it clear that it's the law, and no matter what, in a domestic case they must take the primary aggressor into custody for however long the judge sees fit, or as it is in the US law, however long it takes for them to pay to get out again. And as the lawyer says, he can't just trust them not to get into further trouble if he lets her go.
But I wouldn't trust none of y'all. From the fact that we left, that nothing would have happened again, and then when it got serious.
Now, he didn't see this part, but the officer says that Zeruiah made her intentions clear to go and arm herself. So at this point, there's no escape for her, and the police have pretty much made up their mind whether she's going with them or not. It's just a matter of what it is they're going to charge her with.
She already made intentions that she wouldn't go grab her. That's good enough for us. Like, we ain't got time to play with that. Too many people died in domestics.
We also get another reference to Zeruiah being on medication, and we can see Troy here holding a pill bottle. We don't know exactly what for exactly, but perhaps, I don't know, BPD or bipolar disorder. But the police officer says that that's never an excuse. Perhaps it helps us to understand the motive, but it's not a cause to release her.
Thank God that her father and them grabbed her. I know she's on medication, but it doesn't over-supersede the crime.
And the arrest isn't the only thing that's going to have long-term effects. Troy's daughter, Troy's mother, who allowed her to come on the trip, even though she clearly hates her, is probably never going to let her daughter be in her company ever again, and most likely going to set Troy back a few miles in his efforts to have her more often.
We live in Syracuse. I drove to Buffalo to go get my daughter.
So now you gotta
bring her out here.
But Troy's mind isn't just on his wife, her explosive incident, and the feelings of the children, as is the case with these two. His mind is on himself and the things he has to do. Because, hey, I've got to work and stuff, I've not got time for this. So even as all this happened, and Troy's taken a beating and allegedly threatened with a weapon for doing the same thing that she was doing on her phone, he still wants to defend her and even wants to talk to her before they take her ass to jail.
So she can get out of her situation. Because y'all already went through it. We can't let y'all talk to each other.
It's kind of funny because Troy starts to tell the other officer about how they met, how he did 7 years for attempted robbery, and how he was worried because they're on a TV show and they don't want the story to get out.
Well, ain't nobody gonna know unless somebody put the information out.
Yeah, no one will find out. Yeah, you'll be fine. But it shows you don't know the Lalu community very well. I'm sure we've got better detectives that cover this show than they have in the police force. But it'll be fine, I'm sure. Anyway, let's take a look at when they finally let her know that she's formally being arrested.
So as of right now, you are going to be placed under arrest.
So Zeruiah goes straight for the defense that she was the victim, that she needs to be a super amazing mum, so she hasn't got the time to go to jail right now. Oh, and don't forget the bruises. Even though they have video evidence of her saying where they came from, and that it's probably the only bit of the story that's consistent between the different people, she's still going to try it on.
And I have bruises on me.
Okay, how'd you get those bruises? Were the bruises on your knee, on your legs?
Yes.
Okay.
You can tell the officers don't believe her there, though, can't you? Then there's no amount of pleading, tears, and begging that will help her now. Which is interesting, because this is the only time she actually shows any emotion. When she told all the stories, absolutely nothing. When she was busy showing her bruises, absolutely nothing. But then when the cold reality starts to hit, those tears start flowing.
Please, sir, I have a newborn, please. Please, I've never been arrested, please.
Yes, the victim mode is strong with this one. Granted, she hasn't heard what's been said by everyone else, that she hasn't seen how everybody else was emotionally charged, whereas she was completely calm. She reverts to type and believes that her innocence is way more innocent than everybody else's innocence, and they should be in the cuffs and not her.
That was it. That was all I was trying to do, is get away. I kept leaving, and now it's being blamed on me. I literally reached out.
And what's also interesting is that this isn't her first time in trouble. Whilst in the car on the way to jail, she starts to talk to the officer and admits that in her early 20s, she'd been in trouble before, for what was originally a felony, but was dropped to a misdemeanor.
No, I was in my early 20s and I thought that it would be cool to keep claiming unemployment and working a part-time job. So
It's not her first offence at all. She was taking money from a charitable thing when she shouldn't have. That's mighty familiar, isn't it? And then she reveals that she thought the police would have come along and just done nothing about it. So she wasn't so worried about getting arrested.
they'll talk to each person, calm them down, and then that's it. It's not like how it is, you know what I'm saying, here.
But before they get to jail, there's one more opportunity for Zeruiah to dish out a bit more blame. And intriguingly, it's not Troy, it's not the dad, it's not the sister or the brother, and it definitely wasn't a bit of rogue furniture. It's...
You know who it was? It was my mom. She was just like, she was spazzing and one thing led to another, and I guess...
Yes, indeed. The reason that she's in the back of that cruiser is due to her mum, apparently. She now believes that it's all her fault, and whatever she said must have been the cause of her soon-to-be jailed ass.
In the end, she was booked on one felony charge of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and one misdemeanor charge of simple battery.
Well then, that was a little journey, wasn't it? And what did we learn, ladies and gentlemen? Well, the truth doesn't disappear just because someone's hiding it. It doesn't bend for convenience, and it doesn't protect us from the consequences of our own choices. What this footage shows, and what this case keeps reminding us, is that blaming others is easy when you're trying to avoid looking at yourself. But accountability isn't a weapon, it's a mirror. Then there's something bigger too. Too many people live with the fallout of DV. The fear, the silence, the scars that don't show. No matter the situation, no matter the pressure, violence is never the answer. It doesn't solve anything. It only spreads the damage outwards, hitting people who never deserve to be caught in the blast. My job isn't to pick sides, it's to look at what's real, even when that's uncomfortable, and let you decide what that all means. Because the truth always returns, and when it does, it measures us by the choices we made in its absence. Thank you for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure to have entertained you and taken you on this little journey of ours. I truly appreciate all the support that you give my little channel with all your messages and likes and all that sort of stuff. And I do hope that we can do it all again soon. So if you like what I do, then please do like, subscribe and check out one of these little beauties. So until we meet again, stay beautiful, love to my three, and you take care of yourself.
Please subscribe now for our play. Thank you.